Hey everyone, this is One Man Zerg with UAN.com, and I want to bring you a tip today on using Battlecruisers. Battlecruisers are my personal favorite unit in the game. Yes, I play Zerg, but I really like Battlecruisers. They're awesome. I want you to know though, Battlecruisers are primarily a support unit, I think, in this game, and if you use them properly as a really strong support unit, that's when you get the most out of your Terran army. Battlecruisers are great for pushing, but controlled pushes. They're a slow unit. They can't do anything fancy. So you need to use them controlled with other ground unit support. They're amazing at air to ground damage. They do about 45 damage a second. They're great for air to air. They also do 30 damage a second there. And they're great for coverage because if anything comes within range, they're going to take that out. They also have some awesome abilities like Yamato Cannon. And I want to get into all these in detail, but I want to prep you guys. They are a support unit. They should be on a stack with their army. Even though they're really devastating, you need to use them in a very controlled fashion or they can get taken advantage of. So let's get going. Early in the game, you're not going to have many battle cruisers if you have any at all. And if you do, you're going to want to use it very cautiously. So you're going to want to have it hover over your troops like you do in almost all cases to provide that support. But you're not going to want to leave the battle cruiser out there by itself or your troops out there without the support because it's likely that extra firepower is going to turn the tide of the battle. So you can see Liquid TLO right here is fighting Moose Hasu, so a very high level Protoss player versus Liquid TLO, an amazing random player who's very interesting to watch. So he's going to bring out his battlecruiser, but he's not going to let it linger out there by itself, and he's going to make sure he brings his troops in there, and he's going to let his base take a little damage. So let's watch how he does this right now. He sees these stalkers have some range on his troops, not necessarily the marauders, but the rest of them. And so he's going to dance them in and out. And then you can see as the troops separate from the battlecruiser, he wants to pull it back and bring them together. And then as they come back in, he's going to move them out. And you can see, although it's not an overwhelming, domination in this battle right now, the battlecruiser is really what's going to force Moose Hasu to get out of there and then allow TLO to come out here and properly defend his position, put a siege tank down, get some bunkers up, so that next time that happens, he won't have to worry about it. But the first time, he just brings his battlecruiser out as his reinforcements so that his troops can really take some positioning advantage. Here's another tip for battlecruisers a little later in the game. You can see Liquid TLO here has some more battlecruisers. He has 3. I think he has a couple more that are going to be coming in. And you can see he has a good defensive position set up here with his tanks. He's got some good range. And I'd like to comment that battlecruisers and tanks make a pretty good combo for a few reasons. One, the battlecruisers are never going to, or the tanks are never going to damage the battlecruisers with their splash like they do the other units. Secondly, the battlecruisers have very fast firing weapons. So what they can do is the tank will shoot, and then say a tank gets a unit to like 10 hit points and then it blasts it again. That's a 40 overkill in terms of damage. But if the tank gets it to 10 hit points and then the battlecruiser finishes off with 2 shots, that's only a 2 damage overkill or 3 damage overkill, all depending on upgrades and armor. So that's something that works out in tandem, and then the tank can likely focus on maybe a unit with more hit points, so it doesn't get that over damage kill. So that's a good thing. And what he does here for his positioning is he's going to leave his battlecruisers over his troops so that they're not going to get out in front and take any damage, and they're not going to stay behind to not be able to deal any damage. But if they're right in the middle, they're going to be able to absorb damage with the rest of the troops as well as deal damage with the rest of the troops. So it's really maintaining that ball style army that he has. So let's see what happens right here. He's got them a little back right there, but I think he's going to bring them forward when he sees this battle starting. And then as a Protoss player, just let's check this out real quick too. He drops a storm in the front, that's very smart, and then he's going to drop a few feedbacks on these. If you're a Protoss player and you're wondering how to deal with a lot of Terran units, almost all Terran units have energy. So Banshees, Ravens, Thors, Battlecruisers, all those units can be hit hard with feedback, medevacs too. So use that against those heavy. See, there's the feedbacks, they all go off. Then he drops some storms again. But you can see those battlecruisers mixed with those tanks just easily devastate that army. Here we are back at the fight, and you can see these tanks are just all lining up. So they're right at the edge of that range, which is a nice tank stack. And then the battlecruisers are going to help fire with the tanks as well as absorb some damage. So you can see these troops. So just look at that. You can see these are getting injured, but these are just dropping like flies between the battlecruisers taking them out and the tank splash damage. So that's why that's such an effective combo on top of each other, because it allows you to layer your army more than a ground army can be layered, because the battlecruisers are, you know, vertically stacked with your already stacked ground army. And then he finishes it off with quickly repairing those battlecruisers with those SCVs. Battlecruisers are really expensive. You want to keep them in the battle as long as possible, so repair them right after your battle. Here's another good solid push by TLO. So he's bringing in his troops. It's a good mix. It's tanks, battlecruisers, marines, might bring in a ghost or two. And he's going against a Protoss army. Looks like some light stalkers there, but there's other troops around the map. And so remember, he's just going to keep these troops clumped this whole time and try and push collectively. And then the battlecruisers are great against carriers as long as they have energy. And if not, they can take out a lot of those interceptors, which interceptors are kind of like broodlings in that they can absorb damage for your army, but they're kind of not like broodlings in that they cost money. So anytime you kill an interceptor, it's like killing a unit, really. So it's not a big savings. It just can help you save some larger units. And then he keeps this army together. He's got these tank siege back here, but he keeps the marines and battlecruisers together for when he's fighting these carriers, because that's what he needs. He needs the marine support. And then he's going to continue to push. He brings those tanks back in because he knows he's going to get up against the base soon, and the tanks are really what helped him devastate the stalkers. And then he just brings these battlecruisers in. Nothing too far away from the tanks, so if anything's going to come and get these tanks, he knows he can bring those battlecruisers back with no problem at all. So that's a really controlled push. Don't let him get out ahead. If he chased the troops with his battlecruisers over here, that would have been where it got into the problem zone. This is another use for your battlecruisers, and we have our very own UEN's SCV Rush playing right here. This is actually a 2-on-2 of him and myself versus just some other, I think, diamond or platinum level players. So you can see SCV Rush has 2 battlecruisers on top of a lot of tanks. What is that, 11 tanks? And then he has a barracks. And so he uses some interesting things right here. I'm going to keep this at double speed just so we can get through it. He gets the barracks in front, and so it's a meat shield for them. And then the battlecruisers are all air-to-ground and air-to-air cover. So if banshees come in or if other ships come in. And then that allows the tanks the chance to move up and prevents the battlecruisers from being overrun by things like stalkers, because the tanks will get in that first round of blasts. And that amount of tanks can do hefty damage to any kind of ground army from distance, even blink stalkers. So, you know, using this, you can contain an opponent in their base like SCV Rush is doing, or make a slow push and just set up you and your teammate or yourself for some great map control. So, you know, just use that to contain your opponent and then push in on them. Everyone, here's just a little tip on Yamato Cannon. As soon as you start casting it, you should be able to continue casting it. So let's check this little clip out right now. You can see that he has TLO has some battlecruisers up here, and then he sees some carriers here. Those are prime targets. You want to hit whatever has the most hit points. So he's launching a couple off. I think he's gonna hit this, maybe a stalker, and then let's see, he's gonna takes out one carrier, hits another one, and then let's see what's gonna happen. You can see one more is about to charge up. So there, this one's charging up. And you can just check out that distance. That's a full screen and then some, and it still hits him. So just use those Yamato cannons as soon as you can, especially against Protoss, because they'll feedback you and take away the energy and damage you with it. And take out the big targets. The big targets are probably the biggest damage dealers and the most expensive, so you want to hit them where it hurts. This is a little no-no I want to show you about the battlecruisers. It's like we've been talking about. You want to have your battlecruisers on top of the rest of your army, not too far ahead, not too far behind, just right on top of them. And you want to keep your army like that, because that's how you get your optimal performance out of your army and you lose the least amount of units. So right here, TLO has his battlecruisers, and he has 5 of them, which is a significant amount of battlecruisers, but even that isn't invincible. So let's watch what Moose Hasu does to him right here. He knows he's there because he has his observer, so he sees, okay, there's some battlecruisers. So how am I going to take these out? He's going to get in here, and he's going to bring in his Templar first with his stalkers while they're in the front. And then the stalkers are going to blink in, so that's very important. So he blinks in, so he immediately has a significant portion of his stalkers doing a lot of damage to you. And then he's going to feedback all these battlecruisers. So you can see all this energy. That's going to be 100 damage. That's going to be 100 damage. These guys have already taken that. It immediately blasts all the battlecruisers for all their energy, eliminating Yamato opportunities if they had enough, and dealing significant damage. And then he targets them down with his stalkers. So takes out that first one, takes out the second one, and he does all this while his troops are in the back because he knows, based on his scouting with his observer, that his army isn't there. So that's how he dealt with those, and then he had some storms to take out the little troops. Since they weren't stacked, he couldn't deal with all those troops effectively. He had to bring in his troops, and now he's in a bad position. And so now he has these battlecruisers who are already low on health, and then once again he just targets those down and creates a bad position for the Terran player because he no longer has his troops with him. Puts up this tank and he's got decent support, but then if this battlecruiser stays too far out in front and he gets out in front again, you can see, let's go fast forward a little more, that's going to go down too to some reinforcements, and then just blinks in and takes out those tanks. So remember to always keep your battlecruisers on top of your troops if you can, because otherwise it's going to lead to significant losses for you. With your battlecruisers, remember a few things. If you're going to play Protoss, Yamato Cannon early so you don't get feedbacked. You want to keep your troops together, stacked closely for their maximum efficiency. If you're fighting a air-to-ground army, you can keep your battlecruisers slightly ahead. If you're fighting a ground-to-air or an air-to-air army, you might want to keep your battlecruisers slightly behind the army stack so that they're more appropriately used in the positions. And then don't leave your battlecruisers out to dry. Even though they're really strong, really robust units, they're slow so they can't retreat, and they work most effectively when in a big stack with the rest of your army. Hope this tip works well for you, and go to theuen.com for more tips and tricks like this. Thanks for listening.